1999 to 2004, Zimbabwe suffered a severe economic struggle that caused everlasting effects on the country to this day. There are a few key points that we must take a look at when discussing how poor government policy design and oversights can cause a market failure to the economy. This domino effect is seen as the major cause of the hyperinflation catastrophe that occurred during this time period. This hyperinflation is seen as one of the most severe in modern history. One significant mistake was implementing a Land Acquisition Act that hurt the economy as time went on. After being elected, President Mugabe sought out to amend the wrongdoing of the Zimbabwean people. Racial injustice led many black farmers to be pushed outward to marginal lands. The unequal distribution of resources meant that 4,500 mainly white, large scale farmers dominated Zimbabweans' predominantly agrarian economy. Government mismanagement and misjudgment is a failure that caused this hyperinflation. Redistributing land from industrial giants to small, unprepared natives can pose challenges. The inability to adapt and the ill equipped novice farmer, now taking over 20 million acres of land, was one of, if not the main cause, of the market failure to come. This Fast Track Land Redistribution Act created issues such as food shortages, poor trade, and led the country to become heavily dependent on imports. As the demand for goods and trade grew, so did the external debt. The country began to borrow money to help combat the heavy demands that were being asked of the new farm owners. Government officials began to overprint money to help combat the already enormous national debt. The World Bank was not willing to invest and help aid the country further as they believed that the catastrophe was en route. Social support initiatives were a type of fiscal policy that aimed to increase immediate aid to people that were being affected the most. This fiscal policy was intended to help create a strong social influence, as a lack of social protection is often associated with high levels of poverty and economic inequality. By implementing programs like social insurance, social assistance, labor market interventions. This could really be seen in low income individuals in a society. Although this program was created to help, this support system went in another direction than what was intended. Corruption and the misallocation of funds that were intended to help out the situation only made it worse. These funds were being used to distribute food aid along party political lines. This was not only unethical, but also undermined the protection system that the government had implemented to uphold the right to food for not only just political parties, but for all. Another policy that was implemented in hopes that it would reverse and balance out the currency in the country was the monetary policy of currency reform. This reform policy was intended to stabilize the economy, bring back trust, and stop foreign currency dependency, also in hopes that it would control inflation and adjust interest rates. This system did not only worsen the economic situation, it also led the devaluation of the Zimbabwean dollar because the people lost hope after many failed attempts and no sign from the government that things were getting better. This led many people to convert to using the US dollar in daily transactions. Many people no longer believed that the country would get out of this chaotic situation. This depleted the Zimbabwean dollar and caused the country to become a multi currency economy, a bad choice in the long run. The government mainly followed monetarism, which states that too much money in circulation leads to inflation. Monetarists argue that having control of the money supply is key in stabilizing prices. While policymakers followed a monetarist approach, they often resorted to excessive printing and a lack of fiscal discipline, which worsened the situation. In conclusion, the hyperinflation experienced in Zimbabwe during the early 2000s stands as a profound case study of the complexities and the consequences of economic mismanagement. Rooted in a combination of political instability, land reform policies, and excess money printing, Zimbabwe's hyperinflation led to a catastrophic erosion of savings, a collapse of political services, and widespread poverty. The social fabric of the nation was significantly strained, prompting mass emigration and a humanitarian crisis.